week 9 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few wide receivers. I have a sleeper option this week. The first guy, Kareem Shakir of the Buffalo Bills. So Shakir, he was a rookie last season, showed some flashes, and then the first 7 weeks of the season really didn't show much here for this Buffalo Bill team. But the last few weeks, he's getting back into the lineup. Week 7 in New England, 4 catches, 35 yards. And last week, the best game for him, 6 catches, 92 yards. So I had another speed guy in the slot. His challenge definitely been missing over the last couple seasons, where Cole Beasley was that key guy for him in the slot on key third downs and short 3rd and 5, stuff like that. So right now, with Kareem Shakir, we know is a speed guy. This offense has a lot of good weapons. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis has had some games this season. And Dalton Kincaid, now the tight end they took in the first round this year in the draft, is starting his breakout right now. So with all those options and Shakir getting a lot of one-on-one coverage or even zone coverage this week, a potential shootout at Cincinnati, where I think he's going to come in handy a little bit here, Shakir. He's available 97% of leagues, and he's definitely a sleeper this week. And the receiver is DeMario Douglas of the New England Patriots. So right now, last week, he led the team in snaps. Kendrick Bourne out for the season with a torn ACL. And it's next man up in a thin passing game over there for this Patriot team. Juju Smith-Schuster hasn't done much at all this season. I know last week scored a touchdown, but before that, we haven't seen anything from him. Devontae Parker, he's pretty much penciled out of the lineup for the most part. Guys, said DeMario Douglas, like I said, out there in 88% of fantasy leagues. And the last 2 weeks, his role's definitely bumped up. Week 7 versus Buffalo, a carry, 20 yards. 4 catches, 54 yards. And last week, like I said, leading the team in snaps at Miami. 5 catches, 25 yards, and a carry for 4 yards. So right now, this offense, they got to find ways to get Douglas the ball. We know he's one of the quicker wide receivers in the league. And this week, a good matchup versus the Commanders that give up the second most fantasy points to wide receivers on the season. So right now, like I said, we're born out. Someone's going to have to pick up those targets and pick up those yards. And it definitely could be DeMario Douglas. So in deeper leagues, if you need a sleeper option, he's one this week. In the third and final wide receiver I have as a sleeper is Quinton Johnson, Los Angeles Chargers. So Joshua Palmer, we saw him get banged up in that Week 8 victory versus the Chicago Bears. Even though he did return, he's definitely not 100%. Is Palmer. It wouldn't be surprising to me if he's going to be on the injury report this week and might not even play. And Quinton Johnson, we know, was a first-round pick for this Los Angeles Charger team. So it was his best game of his career in Week 8. 5 catches, 50 yards. And this week here, definitely a tough matchup at the New York Jets. I give up the least amount of fantasy points to wideouts on the season. But right now, this Charger team, it's going to be a tough game to cross-country from West Coast to East Coast to versus the Jets. I know they got the extra day, Monday Night Football here. But if they want to win this game, I think they got to find ways to get Johnston going or just different type of play calls to get this offense rolling and off to a quick start versus solid defense. So right now, Johnson available in 80% of fantasy leagues. He definitely has upside, big physical wide receiver, and he just needs playing time right now. And I think he could definitely get that with Palmer not 100%. And, you know, rookies, they usually break out or get things going, more playing time as well in this time period, Week 9, Week 10. So that's a few wide receivers I have as sleepers for Week 9 of the fantasy football season.